hello. This is Carib Carter Clues, and welcome to Leslie at Large. Hot topic this week. It's the topic that Mark Twain said everybody talks about it and nobody can do anything about it. The weather. The weather. Leslie, let's talk weather in Nicaragua and Central America in general, since you live in it.
I do. I'm right here in the middle of it. And currently here in Nicaragua, we are what's called the rainy season. And so people are always asking us, whether it's any of our countries, Belize or Nicaragua, Panama, the question we get asked a lot from, people that are considering, even traveling here or moving here is about the weather conditions. What does it look like? What does that mean? The beauty and one of the things I love living in this region is you have pretty much steady temperatures. You're looking usually in the 80s, Belize was the same way. It was usually around, people would ask us, oh, it's probably 82. That seemed to be the average. So that was a safe bet if you wanted to place a good bet on what the temperature was. But yeah, in the rainy season, it varies. Last year, rainy season here, which usually runs from like May to, October. Usually September, October are the rainiest months here in Nicaragua. But last year when I moved here in May, it was beautiful. It was green, not a lot of rain. It would rain sometimes at night, kind of like what I was used to in Belize. You would get kind of the tropical storms, the little bit of rain at night and then the sunshine during the day. So we really experienced that a lot last year. This year, I will tell you, it's been a lot rainier. It usually rains during the days, a little bit, not all day long. At night, a lot of rain. You get these amazing, when I say amazing, thunder and lightning storms. So when you're sitting out at night, especially right where I am right now, I'm at the restaurant. See if I can, kind of the little restaurant through there.
Wow.
And then you've got out here. So yeah, this is the pool where everybody comes and hangs out, but you're sitting out here at nighttime and you can see off way in the distance over the water just these magnificent lightning storms. And we sit out here and watch them. They're unbelievable to see. And then we kind of count. I don't remember the thing, but apparently there's some notion of, when you hear the thunder and there's like you count up between it and how close it is. I don't know how that works, but people are always, you can tell they're talking about it and trying to figure out how close it really is and stuff.
Yeah. It's so funny. I love we're talking about this because when I lived in Honduras, let's say at Vista Bonita, Honduras, it was about 20 minutes outside of La Ceiba, and I would go in every day on the chicken bus. And during the rainy season, it lasts, like you say, I think maybe 6 weeks or so. At about 3:00, I mean, it could be a beautiful day like the one you're in right now. I mean, it is stunning, by the way. And about 3:00, it was like God called the angels together and said, okay, bring your buckets and dump water. And it was like instantaneous. I would be walking down the street, La Ceiba, and the next thing I know, it would be up to my ankles, and I swear to God, up to mid-calf. And it seemed like 15 minutes later. Yeah. So, and then it would, after an hour, it would go away. And the sun would come out and everything would dry up. And I would know, okay, see you tomorrow at 3:00. It was the monsoon season. That's it. And you know what?
Isn't that
used to it? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting. We'll joke sometimes. We have a bridge that comes into the property, and sometimes you may be, at the restaurant outside the gates eating, and all of a sudden, it comes that crazy rain and wind, and you're like, oh my gosh. But the cool thing is, like, we're all in like a WhatsApp group for the property here, and even with the gate, and they'll watch the river for us, and they'll keep us updated. They'll be like, okay, the river's rising, because we're surrounded this property. We have rivers on each of our borders, and so they'll message and say, hey, you may, if you're outside the gates, you may want to try to get home. The rivers are starting to rise, and they really do a great job of monitoring that, keeping us up to date with that. Any type of thing here. So we have even like a public safety WhatsApp group. And right. When I first moved here, I grew up in Texas. I lived in Nashville for a while, but I had never lived anywhere where there were earthquakes. And, we are on the Pacific side. And guess what? We get earthquakes. I'd never experienced that. I remember the first time I did, I was actually real close to here and I could see the pool. And I thought I felt something, and I saw the pool water sloshing, and I was like, what is going on? And somebody's like, oh, it's an earthquake. And I'm like, I got so excited though, because I'd never experienced one. And I was like, oh, that's what that's like. Um, they're not anything major. We've had a couple recently that were, farther up the coast, but you can feel them a little bit. Because your windows rattle. That's about the way. Sometimes if you're, in bed, you may kind of feel a little rocking going on. But, it's a very real thing. You have some earthquakes. Like I said, nothing major, but they keep us updated. Any type of anything going on, weather related, they notify the residents and the public safety groups. So
All right. I told you it froze a second, and now Leslie's back. Leslie at large is back with us. So you're a little different locale, but it's still gorgeous. So we were talking weather, and let's get back into the weather, because I think, my opinion, and see if you agree with this, I think people get unduly alarmed about the weather sometimes in Central America. And so This is a great episode to help people. Rest assured, folks, it's mostly sun, sand, and surf. Don't get overboard about the little bit of inclemency occasionally. So let's pick up where we left off. I think you were telling us about seeing some waves in the swimming pool when you left.
Yeah. So with the earthquakes, what happens is I'd never experienced that. But if you were outside and you could see like the pool water slushing around, you feel just a little something, but you're not real sure what it is if it's your first one, like myself. There have been a few where I've been in my house and, the windows rattle, that kind of thing. But, it was a kind of a cool experience. Obviously, we don't want to have any major ones, but that is, you live on the Pacific coast. That is part of the reality of it. You just want to have that awareness. I said my heart is out right now to everyone in Florida, and you're watching the devastation that's gone on, and it's that reminder of weather is so powerful, and we can't control it, unfortunately, but you can be scared. And that's the one thing I said about this community is they're on top of things. We have our public safety group. They keep us in the loop, all types of weather, any type of activities, rivers rising, those kind of things. And I really appreciate that.
I think, and I'm with you on that. They keep you fully informed. I think something that we all have to realize is when you hear, about the terrible devastation of a hurricane in somewhere, in Central America, I think people need to keep in mind that the devastation is occurring for the most part in places where people are living in mud huts or homes that are like chicken coops. So of course, anything strong, it looks like, oh my God, look at that. It blew the country away. No, it didn't. Places like Grand Pacifica are fine. Places like when I lived on Roatan Island, Keyhole Bay, they're fine. They are built to withstand that type of thing. The homes that the indigenous population live in, they're going to get flooded pretty easily and blown over by a gust of wind. I remember at Keyhole Bay, our good friend Dan Taylor built it. Incredible. And one day he pointed out to me, look, when we build, we prepare for inclement weather. He pointed out the doors on the condos were built so they opened out. Okay, I thought this was fascinating. And he said, do you notice something different here? And I said, I'm not sure. He said, the front door opens out. He said, that's so if there is strong gust of wind, it doesn't blow the door in because the door doesn't go in. And so all this is taken into account by incredible, developers like Mike Cobb and Joel Nagel, Grand Pacifica, where you are, or Graham Bayman, what they're doing at El Zante and El Salvador, now the reefs there in Honduras. All this is taken into consideration. So you're going to be fine.
Yeah, that's a great point to make. Obviously, we talk about doing due diligence when you are looking to really move somewhere. Ask those questions and make sure the building standards, that they're North American standards, that they are, they have the hurricane windows and all those different features, because that is important. when you're relocating to these different parts.
Yeah. And if you're, if you get hit by I don't know what this thing is hit in Florida, Cat 4 or Cat 5, I mean, it pretty much leveled Fort Myers. It doesn't matter where you are. If something like that happens, that's, that is what we call an act of God. And God pretty much does what he wants. And most of the time, thank God, it's very nice for us. I mean, looking where you are right now, God was very kind to the people in Nicaragua, because it is gorgeous. It is gorgeous.
It is beautiful. Like we said, it's known as the land of lakes and volcanoes, and we have those abundantly. Just the rivers, the streams, the natural. I told someone the other day, like, I was always amazed, especially when you fly into Nicaragua. When you're flying into, Miami or the States or stuff, what do you see? You see a lot of buildings, and you don't really see a lot of green. When you fly into Nicaragua, I'm just always amazed at the vast majority of just it's just preserved, natural green space and land. And it's beautiful when you're flying in, because you don't see a lot of development and buildings and just the stuff like you do when you're flying over the U.S.
It really is. It was years ago. I remember somebody saying the nice thing about the developers who are building these gorgeous communities like Grand Pacifica in Nicaragua or Honduras and all, is that they leave the trees. They said in the U.S. they cut down the trees and then named the streets after them.
Oh my
Where
gosh.
you are, we can see over your shoulder. They leave the trees. It's wonderful.
Yes. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
This is one of the condo buildings here, our most recent, Momotombo. It's a beautiful building.
Now how far is that from the ocean?
Oh, let me walk over here and flip my phone. I'll show you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Gorgeous building. Gorgeous
The
building.
ocean's just right there. I don't know with the lighting if you can see it, but
okay,
yeah,
I see it.
Right in front of those chairs.
Yes.
So,
wow.
That's pretty darn close in my book.
That's close. That, as somebody who's not a big water guy, that is certainly close enough for me. I can tell you that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually one of the kind of a very popular surf break called the meat grinder. And by the name of it, it tells me I don't want to be out there on the meat grinder.
What is it called again?
The meat grinder.
The meat grinder. What in God's name possesses anyone to want to enter something like that? I don't get it, but I know. Yeah, look, I know the water.
Yeah,
lovers.
I don't know, but it's definitely an advanced surf break. But we have a lot of surfers that they love it. When that part of the water, when it goes back, the tide goes, you can see there's just rocks all under that one section. Hence the name, probably meat grinder.
Well, I think that Nicaragua has some of the best surfing in Central America, and on the 3.5 miles of coastline on which Grand Pacifica has been built, are some of those great waves. Some of those great waves.
Right.
And
we have two different surf breaks. So we have the one meat grinder here, and then down a little ways we have another beach called Asachio Beach, and there's more intermediate beginner surf break there that a lot of people enjoy.
And I know that the Mike Cobb, Joel Nagel community in El Salvador at El Zante, that I think is rated as the top surfing site in Central America. And one of the, actually, a good surfer friend of mine said, Carter, it's more than that. It's one of the best in the world.
Wow.
Which is pretty fantastic. I know.
That's exciting. Yeah, and I'm told, talking about weather, I'm told that the winds and the type of winds like that we get here in Nicaragua is why we have, like, especially almost year-round surfing here. That's one of the key things that the surfers love here, especially at ours. And it's something to do, I don't know, I'll probably get it all wrong. It's like you have your offshore and onshore, and I don't remember which way is which, but it's something with the type of winds that we get. And I think because of some of our lakes, that helps us have really great surfing almost year round.
Let me ask you a question. I know we're almost out of time here, but I want to ask you a question. And because I was surprised by this. You remember I said I lived on Roatan Island for a while. And I think something that will surprise people, it certainly shocked me, is you have some chilly evenings, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there not a lot, but there are times, especially when it is raining and you get a little bit of that breeze. So there are times that I bring out the little hoodie or the thin jacket or the rain jacket. Not a lot, but there are times. Now I will tell you, different parts of Nicaragua, like if you go up into like Matagapa and some of those areas, it is
Yes.
beautiful, nice temperatures. You've got like your coffee plantations there, and yeah, definitely almost every night there, you know, you've got a little light jacket or something with you, and that's a beautiful place to check out and explore too. We haven't done that yet on Leslie at Large, so I'll have to make that definitely a to-do list soon, because it's a beautiful, cool place as well.
Yeah, I would love to see Matagapa. And I think sometimes we hear people say, because we're talking about weather here, well, I like a little variety in weather. Honest to God,
Right.
you are going to get more variety in weather you can imagine. Leslie, I got to tell you, one of the coldest I've been in my life is one evening at a tiki bar on the beach on Roatan Island. And like you say, the rain came and the wind came in off the Caribbean. And I thought, I think I felt like an Eskimo. I felt like, yeah. So, folks, you will have variety in weather. You will have variety. Fortunately, mostly gorgeous sun like you're in right now.
Exactly.
It is beautiful. So, thank you very much. Thank you for being our weather person. This is fantastic. The
Yes,
Yeah.
it was fun being the weather girl for a change. I just need
And
like
help.
my green screen behind me where we can put all the different effects up. We needed a
Um,
fan so I could have the wind. You know, we
that's
should have
right.
done it
That's
up
right.
differently for those watching and
Yeah.
not listening.
I love it just the way it is. Thank you very, very much. This has been excellent. It's very, very informative about a very important topic to people, especially right now, when the news is full of it. So thank you. It's great to see you again. I wish I were
Always
there.
great to
It is
visit with you.
absolutely beautiful. And I'm sitting here in York, Pennsylvania in a sweatshirt. Folks, there you go. If you had any doubts about the weather, now they're removed. The weather is fantastic. You don't have to worry. And you actually get a little variety from time to time. So, as I always tell you every week, let's do this thing.